What's going on, guys? Bladezilla here, and today we're taking a look at another real cool one, the F95T. And as you know, if you've been following the channel for any time, I think the F95T or Turtle is probably my favorite production knife that they do. And then in this circumstance, we're looking at the blue anodized variant of it, which is a real nice one. I will say it is a very challenging knife to kind of show the true color on, so hopefully at the end of this you can kind of see about 50 plus different ridiculous overexposed angles of this, so that you can make a decision on if it's something you want, if it's something you don't want, or if it's something you just want to take a look at. So we're going to go into all kinds of different details. Unfortunately, I don't have an F95T standard to compare it with today, but I do have a custom division. As always, just a reminder, this is a coffee shop style conversation with, pretty casual, nothing too crazy, just showing you the knife and going over some of the details as well. A little shout out to the website, bladezilla.ca. That's where a lot of my knives are for sale in various quantities, but check out the website. I know I get asked all the time, where is the website? So bladezilla.ca, there is a link below. And I believe if we take a look at the Shirogorov stuff, this guy should be up on the site. There we go. In all kinds of details. And then I'll add this video down in the link. So there you go. Quick shout out to the site. And we're off. So let's talk about this knife. And do some measurements and all that fun stuff. So to start things off, I'm zoomed in a little bit today. To start things off, let's get some measurements. So let's put that in the middle, find the measuring tape, and go over some details. So we're coming in at 8 3/4-ish, maybe 8 5/8, somewhere in that conversation, depending on how good your eyes are that day. Blade length, the 95 is the millimeters, which should be familiar to Canadians, but it is 95 mils in sharpened blade length. And so that's coming in at right around 4 inches, maybe a little less, to the choil. So pretty cool. Handle-wise, I know I get asked that question, it seems to be all the time, but yeah, 4 3/4. I will say this with Shirogorovs, they carry a lot smaller than their angles and blade length would kind of indicate. So don't, a lot of guys, they get their first Shiro, they carry them, and they can't even believe how it's a 4-inch knife, but it carries a lot like a 3.5 because of how thin the actual knife is. So just keep that in mind before you kind of get one of these. In terms of the size profile, and once again, try to go as much as I can without going off my little board here. Let's go put this guy in the top here and we'll kind of work our way down. So we have our Stellar, which in this case is a custom division or sprint run, but it shows the size in kind of the handle length, right? So a little bit shorter blade, but handle very similar-ish. We've got my trusty Neon, which is a little bit smaller than the Stellar. But once again, remember the angle of the dangle here with the camera. As I put things closer, it's going to appear bigger than they are. And if I put this, for example, back here, it would look a lot smaller. So just I'm trying to step this in the right order to kind of give you an idea on the sizing. Now, there is a size bigger than this, and that is the 111. And unfortunately, I brought in, I think, 5 of those, and they're all gone. So I don't have any 111s to show. But there is a size up from the 95 of the F95T to a 111, and that's the blade length. That's a 4 1/4 or something like that. But anyway, from an EDC carry point of view, all 3 of these are well loved, and I love them all, physically and emotionally, but mostly just emotionally. Okay, so, oh yeah, sorry. Let's show it with a F95 CD, which is just more of a color comparison than anything. In my opinion, if you guys have seen the standard version of this, this should kind of give you an idea, right? It's a stonewash tie, on the CD, but the milling is just a little bit tighter on the custom division, and it's obviously different blade steel, but that should kind of give you an idea of the coloring. I'll try to get that close so you can kind of see some angles on it. So hopefully the plain Jane should be pretty easy to identify the color of that. But the blue is very slight, and depending on how people take pictures of it, you can really make it look blue, and you can also really make it not look very blue at all. It's very subtle. I'd say even more subtle than the first production Stellar. But that should give you an idea. So there you go. There we go. Now in terms of other knives in this kind of price point, we could look at, let's see here, we've got a blue Hattie. So an F95 and a Hattie are actually very similar knives. They're both 95mm. And I guess right now Shiro seems to be on a bit of a blue kick, because a lot of the knives that I actually have a lot of them are blue, or getting blue. So I'm going to load a couple of them on the screen here. But in terms of these two, the Hattie is essentially an F95 with a carbon front scale. I've done a video on this knife specifically, and super cool knife, just a little bit lighter by about an ounce. We've got a Quantum G10 on multi-row bearings in that blue color as well, which is beautiful. We've got an F95 on single row bearings, once again, with a little bit of blue to it. And what other blue one here? I don't have enough room left on the screen, but I also have a Quantum in G10, which is a super cool knife. I'm not sure if I've done a video on this one yet, but multi-row bearings, Quantum, super cool. Love the color on this one. Chromax. This is a home run of a knife. It's kind of like a cheaper Hattie Quantum. It's called the Quantium. And then anything else blue? I guess I have this. You've probably seen this one on the channel as well. The Solar collab. Pretty cool. Not as much blue, more purple, but another knife I have done a video on that as well. And that's kind of the magic of blue right now. It seems to be really in. You know, we've done the aquatic, we've done, I don't know if the deep space video is out yet, but I have that video coming as well. Lots of blue. I like what Shirogorov's starting to do with the colors. It's kind of nice. But yeah, that Hattie, oh my gosh. I think I have only a few more of these guys left. And let me tell you, the blue in this Hattie is just out of this world good. Definitely try to grab one of these before they're gone, because I don't know if they're coming back. And the blue, I know I'm going off track here, I've got another red one here to show you the comparison. The red doesn't pop nearly as much as the blue. So grab that blue while they're available, if you're into it. Because I'm into it and love them. Like I said though, just emotionally. Well, let's talk about this knife and stop with the jokes. So here we go, full titanium, blue anodizing, obviously. We've got a flipper tab up top. We've got the full-length backspacer, or not full-length, but for Shirogorov, pretty substantial backspacer. We've got a pocket clip that kind of matches the backspacer as well, which is a nice little touch. They're starting to obviously do that a little bit more and more, which I always appreciate. But in this case, the pocket clip really stands out nicely because it is that standard titanium finish. Looks really, really nice, matching the backspacer. We've got an M390 blade, which is kind of the go-to, you know, standard now in the high-end world for Shirogorov. I don't know if, when, or if there's demand to go to Magna Cut, which is kind of becoming, if you look at like a Chris Reeves, you know, it's starting to become the new M390. I don't know if we're going to see that, just because, you know, Russia, Bowler versus Magna Cut being the US. the nice thing is that I have done a video on this knife. The Molten Overkill. They are now doing some Magna Cut, as you can see here if I flip it around. So they are getting it. They are getting some supply on the Magna Cut knives. I don't know whether or not that is going to be something that's going to be ongoing, but it is certainly cool that they are doing some Magna Cut. Super cool material. The heat treat on it really determines a lot with how good it is, it sounds like. But nonetheless, really, really cool. That Molten Overkill is also currently, I just bumped that up on the site. I think I still have one more of these, so 2 left of those. But anyway, back to the F95T. Geez, I need to like focus here. I need to have a coffee. It's recording this right now. It's pretty late at night, and I've had a very long day at work, so I'm kind of all over the map. So M390 steel, really, really nice. You know, it's kind of like the gold standard right now for production steels because it's just so reliable. It's field usable for sharpening, and it holds retention really well on the edge. Now on the blade shape itself, we've got some jimping up top, which is beautiful. I find on this F95, it's honestly like, it's perfect. I don't have any issues with the jimping. It is a lot compared to the Quantum. If I don't have any Quantum Gen 2s here, do I? Let's grab that Hattie, the red Hattie. You can see how the jimping on the top here is a little bit spread out compared to the F95. My preference is actually on that F95 because you can get a little more perch on it. It's a little grabbier. If you're wearing like a glove or something, totally usable. And then if we go down the blade, we can see, you know, it's kind of rolled, it's kind of curved in on the top, right? But then you get down to the tip here, and it kind of narrows in, then widens out. And let's ask the question, why do you think that's so important to kind of widen the tip out there? Any guesses? Well, you're adding material. So where the blade's typically the weakest is on the tip. So when you add the little strength there, it just kind of strengthens up the tip, which is nice. Now another thing I'd like to point out here is that they're kind of doing the same blade shape that's on the Neon Zero with that little nose. See how on the Neon Zero here, try to get to focus, they put this little nose, which is something I really, really like. And they're doing that on the F95T, and I believe the F95 Zero, which I haven't had one of those in here for a while, but I think, are they doing that on the Neon or the F95 Zero, or is it flat? The F95 Zero might be flat all the way to the tip, actually, now that I think about it. But anyway, I dig this little nose on here. It just adds a little something to it to go with that nice drop point. Looks real nice. And also this guy right here, it always reminds me of like a gill. I just think it looks so cool in addition to that little, I don't know if you want to call it swage or whatever, but up in the top here. It looks like $1 million. And remember, Shirogorov's, like, in my opinion, these are the top of the line production knives in the world right now. They're doing things that no one else is doing at this price point. And you get a knife like this, yeah, it's blue, it looks amazing, it's unique, but it's all the work on the inside. When you look at this thing on the inside, you go, oh my gosh, there's so much milling inside this thing. There's just as much as on the outside, and that's what makes it look so cool. This one's running on multi-row bearings, MRBS, and that should be written on the inside of this little flipper tab up top here. Not sure if you can see it, because I'm looking at a 1-inch screen, but it should say MRBS right there. Now, MRBS compared to single row bearings, like on that F95, that blue one that I showed, this guy's on single row bearings, so it will not show that here, as we can see. Single row bearings are more of a standard bearing style that you would find on most knives, in that it's a bearing on a track. Multi-row, think of it as 3 bearings in a row on a track, kind of in a pinwheel orientation, or as I like to say, the rays of a sun, like the sun in the sky. So in theory, you know, obviously it's, it kind of, to me, softens the drop shuttiness of it, technical term, but it also adds some side-to-side stability because you're spreading out the surface area of that blade. Speaking of which, there's absolutely no play in this, as you would expect with a Shirogorov. Centering, let's take a look. Yep, bang on, just like all of them that I get. And not only that, look at the tolerances on that. Just unbelievable. Yeah, these blue ones, I'm kind of curious to see how many of them they're going to do like this, because it's a sharp looking knife. And I'm a plain Jane guy, and this is just enough color that I could see myself carrying this. Because it's not loud. Like, that's what's so nice. In the right light, yeah, you get a little blue, but it's still stonewash blue. And then in the other light, it, you know, kind of hides it well and kind of just goes away. So that's kind of cool. As I was saying, I will show, if I can find my little light here, I'll attempt to show the inside of this. Let's take a look down inside. Hopefully you can see, yes, there's some milling lines on the inside. Put the light underneath. That should show it even better. So it looks like a little snake usually. It wiggles around. And it's to skeletonize it, so it takes a bunch of weight out of the handle. And it should, in theory, at least the other F95Ts that I've had, should be nice and balanced on your hand. And let's take a look here. Yeah, right in the pocket there. It's balanced perfectly with the blade, so perfect for slicing, chopping, anything but using it as a throwing axe. Please don't do that. I swear, things come out of my mouth in these videos that I just sometimes wonder about if people take this seriously or not. The multi-row bearings feel so good. These ones are obviously, this one, you've seen every single flick on this blade, so it's still feels pretty dry and not broken in, but very nice and smooth. And as I always like to do is park this guy at 12 o'clock and slowly push it down, and it shouldn't drop at any point because it's nice and in control. And that's the Shirogorov kind of float home feel of these knives. So, and you know, to give you an idea, that's the hardest part for a knife, to not float home. And it's so controlled. And I'm telling you guys, like, you go get an F95T for Turtle, or a Zero, or a Neon Zero, or any of the heavier blades, F95, Quantum Gen 4s, and, or is it Gen 2, whatever. They just float home, and they're so smooth and in control. And it's a knife that, say you go to a meet, and you're meeting other knife enthusiasts or whatever, it's just like, you don't see a ton of Shirogorovs, because they're very difficult to find in Canada right now. So they're a little more unique than, say, a Chris Reeves or a Conigarius. And there's certainly a place for those knives. I love them. But Shirogorovs are just, they're so beautiful, and just, they're like little works of art. You know, I love how on the handle here we can see the little bear right here. It's just nice and engraved on. The lines are nice and milled in. Front and back, right? They don't have to do that. The clip as well. All the milling lines are done really nice. Come on, camera, don't freak out on me. Milling's done really nice. And then with that pocket clip, I've mentioned this in the past, in that when your hand's on this clip, right, and you're pushing down on it, the weight transfers to the clip and pushes down actually on the frame itself rather than the lock bar. And that's done through kind of like an off, it's kind of hard to show over here, but it angles all that pressure onto one side. It's not a symmetrical clip. It's just done really, really well. And it's a nice little touch. And then the milling inside here is like next level. And I don't know if the camera's even going to pick up on this, but the milling underneath the clip here on the lock bar bend is just incredible. It's so micro. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. And I always say this, like, obviously you know, there are, they say these pivots, the pivot hardware is a custom proprietary bit, and it is, but it's essentially a flathead. You're going to mar it up and damage it if you're using a flathead, but in a pinch, if you had to use it, yes, you could use a flathead. I would suggest using a penny because, as you can see, pennies, this is my Hinderer penny for the hardware. It's a lot softer of a metal, and it will give out long before the titanium hardware does. Or use a credit card, fold it up, use that. Or get the actual tool and move along with life. If you're going to start collecting Shirogorovs, you should probably have the tool anyway, because you're probably going to want to tune it, make it feel yours, and you're not going to do any damage. Now, another thing with these guys, as we've kind of seen here, I've shown this in the Hattie video, I've shown this in the F95T video. If you roll this from the side, what sticks out here? What's not symmetrical, basically? The lock bar. See how it stands out? I love that about this knife. Okay, in your hand, when you're utilizing that, the bevel on that is like perfect. It's all micro milled. If you ever get there, you're sitting at your desk in a Teams meeting and you're just contemplating ending it all holding a knife. I'm just kidding. But if you are holding a knife, it's just so cool to look at all that micro milling in there, because it's just a work of art. And the ano just makes it stand out so nicely. The pocket is so smooth, there's no hot spots, the flipper tab aligns up perfectly, and then not only that, there's obviously a metal lock bar insert, and I always say this, the lock bar insert is / over travel stop. It's not just to slowly replace after it wears out over 10 years or 20 years or 50 years or whatever. It's to tune the materials. So when you have a titanium frame and an M390 blade, they don't always interact super smoothly. So you put a material in there that is kind of the mediator. It kind of smooth things out. The mediator metal. It just makes it so that they don't stick together and lock up, and so that's one thing. But obviously it doubles as an over travel stop. And an over travel stop, I will show you on a Sebenza, because I don't think they have them still. So on a Sebenza here, you can see they've got a huge amount of lockup, right? It's like 75% usually, plus. And that lock bar, as I push it back, there's nothing that protects that from going too far, right? So typically when the over travel stop is in place, it doesn't go any further than allowing the knife to unlock, thus preserving the material itself so you're not stretching that all the time. Chris Reeves has just gotten away with this. I don't know why, but that's just what they do. And it's kind of become their thing. Whereas Shirogorov and many other knife manufacturers are doing over travel stops. So you can just kind of see that you can replace that metal insert / over travel stop, and Bob's your uncle. So pretty cool, pretty cool. And I love how the flipper tab in here, it's all rounded, smooth. So when you fire it out, your finger drops into that little channel that's all smoothed out. It's just beautiful. In hand, so remember I'm an extra large glove, 6'3", and I've got, seriously, I could have a 6th finger here and have lots of room. It's not a problem. You could wear this or use this with a glove. That wouldn't be an issue either. So just a good all-around knife. Yeah, I have absolutely no issues, and it is by far my favorite production knife that Shirogorov currently makes in the F95 world. F95T is just, it's the first knife that I kind of fell in love with from Shirogorov, and the brand kind of grew around that knife for me. And it's still my favorite, and unfortunately I don't even have a standard version of it other than the Custom Division Turtle, but if there's one knife that I could carry for the rest of my life, it would probably be this one. And now it's in blue, which is perfect, because hopefully my question would be is, if they're going to do blue, what else are they going to do? We've seen the gold one, the Blade Show. I managed to only get one of those, but They did the gold version, which was really nice. I've heard that they only made like 50 of those quietly. And then obviously standard tie, and now blue. So you just wonder, well, what's next? Would they ever do like a brass maybe? What else do you think they would do? What would you guys want to see? Would you guys, and I'm also kind of curious to see, would they ever do a turtle with a Chromax blade and kind of bring the price point down? Because as this sits, I think these are like, without looking, 1150 or 1200 US list. So for me, they're in that, what, 18, 19-ish $100 Canadian landed, tax in. So it's like, I wonder if they're ever going to bring that price point down and do like a Chromax blade turtle. Like, that'd be interesting, eh? Take off the backspacer but keep the milling. I wonder if they would do that. I don't know if there's a market for it. I think if most people are going to buy it, they're going to just get the standard turtle and move along with their life. And then get it and be like, hey, I need to get a custom division. And then when it's $4,000 US, they're going to not be too happy about things. But it'll have an absolute banging knife. And I don't know if I've actually done a video on that F95T custom division or not. I may have. I have to look. If not, I'll definitely will at some point here. So, oh my gosh, it sounds so good. These things just fit, like, they feel so good, and they fire out and sound just solid. Like, they just sound solid. I highly suggest, like, if you're in a group that's got a couple Shiros in it, just ask, hey, can I borrow it for a few days? Just see what I think of it. See if it's for me. You know, like, if somebody messaged me on Instagram and said, hey, I'm really interested in Shiros and can I borrow one? I'd be all over it if they were a legit person and wanted to see what the brand's like, for sure. Because you'll fall in love with it. Like, it's a no-brainer. Now, concerns with this knife. Well, I guess, you know, people complain about the hardware. Why can't it be some sort of internal, like the clip, right? That clip is done internally, I believe. It's attached. I'd have to look, but I think I see a screw in there. So there's that. You know, they're not numbered. Obviously, each knife comes with a COA, certificate of authenticity, but these particular knives are not numbered like the special editions are. So that could be a bit of a turnoff, but most of those knives are double the price, so it really shouldn't even be something to worry about. What else we got here? So we talked about the fit in hand, the jimping, which is beautiful, the M390 blade. I talked about this backspacer and how it just looks cool and matches the jimping. Did I talk? No, I didn't say that. That's one thing that they're starting to do, obviously, is kind of match the pattern on the backspacer and the jimping, which is cool. I like that, as you can kind of see. And multi-row bearings, obviously. Lanyard hole. I didn't talk about this. So yes, you can, let me just turn that there. Yes, you can run a lanyard on this. And I love that with this knife. From the side, you don't see a big hole in it, like on the Stellar. On the side of that, there's a hole for your lanyard, and it protrudes through the entire knife. I like how in this one, it's built into the backspacer. So if you want to run it, it's kind of incognito, kind of quiet, easy access. But from the other side, it's hidden still. So I love that they're doing that in more of their knives. I think that's a real clever way of getting around that. And it's solid, man. Love the flipper tabs. People say they want thumb studs on these. Get out of here, man. It's all about the flipper tabs. Oof. This is certainly a real cool knife. I would love, this is going to sound silly, okay? But I would love them to do like an icebreaker relaunch, but in this blue. Because I think that would be like the tits. Just like like a total icy blue icebreaker. That'd be so cool. But dare to dream. Dare to dream. Okay, well, I think I've talked about most of this knife. If I've missed anything, please. You know, there's always something I bring up in my head 5 minutes after I film these things, and I go, oh, I should have mentioned this. Absolute must. But you know what? I do enough of these videos that I apologize. And most of the things I quote are probably wrong anyway. So you know, call me out. Feel free. Otherwise, you know, leave a comment below. I love chatting with you guys. Add me on Instagram. Bladezilla.ca. Go check out the website, see what's on there. The store is constantly changing. If there's something you guys want me to carry, because remember, I'm in Canada. I do ship down to the States, but and it's usually next day. It's usually faster to ship to the States than Canada, which is weird. If there is something you want me to grab in Canada that's not really represented here, please let me know. I'm always open to you guys. Like, I've had a few Kickstop Chavez come through the door that I've done, I don't know, about half a dozen of them now, and people seem to really love them because I can't find them here. So if there's a knife like that, let me know. I'm willing to help you guys out and get them in. Otherwise, yeah, we'll chat later in the week, or we'll chat next week or whatever, and yeah, that's it. Appreciate you stopping by and checking out the F95T in the blue. It's a real cool knife, and I think these are going to be hot. Alright guys, have a good week. See you later.